Okay, good. Mom life. There we are. All right. All right, we have one viewer now and two viewers. All right. Hi, welcome to Mystical Connections to the Unknown. Tonight we have Stephanie Smith from the Haunted Shanley Hotel. Ooh. Um, so, before we get started and before I have her tell us all about herself, make sure you visit www.savewaverlyhills.com. Give them your support. Buy some hoodies, t-shirts, whatever they're selling. All the proceeds go to Tina and Charlie. So give them your support. And let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are
Hey,
you, Stephanie?
well, I like to say I'm a small town Alaska girl living in a New York world right now. Alaska is my home state. I used to investigate a haunted hotel there. And when I moved to New York and got offered the job at the Shanley right away, it was pretty much just home. So the Shanley has become my home.
I do understand that. I miss our home away from home for sure.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do there.
So I am a paranormal investigator and a spiritual medium. When guests book the rooms, I take them around the hotel for several hours and we investigate all the different areas, talk to the spirits, try to connect with some family members if I can get them in, and of course clean up all, the rooms and everything the next day and stuff like that. So yeah, it's usually a pretty good night.
That's cool. Now you said you've been there like 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, how did you get involved with the Shanley?
I was actually on an investigation myself and had nobody to go with. And the owner had me in a location and we were investigating and I started getting told things, by one of the spirits. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're a medium." I said, "Yeah, I am." And she goes, "Do you need a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do."
Now, is that the only thing? Is that the only thing you do is work there, or do you have a full-time job like elsewhere?
No, I became a stay-at-home mom when I had my littlest one who was 4. And I used to be a nurse. So now I'm an investigator.
Nice. Hi, Eddie Pence. Hi, Linda. Um, all right. So, what are you holding there? What's in there?
This is Eden. This is my newest haunted doll.
Okay, so you're a collector of haunted things too, then?
Yes, I have a lot.
A lot. How do you get into collecting haunted objects, and how do you know they're haunted?
I work with them. There's a few sellers that I do trust online and that I've met, but pretty much they kind of call to me. They, I had one of them about a month ago that as soon as I came across her picture, something screamed in my head, Pixie. So I messaged the seller and I said, what's her deal? And she's like, "Well, I think she's haunted." And I said, "Well, what about the name?" She goes, "Well, it's Pixie." And I said, "Oh my gosh." And she goes, "Do you know what her favorite objects or toys are?" And I said, "Let me guess, fairies." And she goes, "Yeah, it's fairies. How'd you know?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess that means I gotta have her."
Oh, that's pretty cool. Have you been gifted for a long time, or just
Yeah,
more as
I think
you
I pretty
started
much
investigating?
I pretty much started out as an empath and had like some premonitions, things like that I just really never paid too much attention to. But being at the Shanley so much, my abilities have just grown immensely. So it's been wonderful there. It's definitely been eye-opening.
Okay, so what do you? I mean, you said you clean up and stuff, but do you like take the people on a tour, or do you just like let them do whatever,
So
or
we
do
usually
you
have
like investigate with them?
we usually have a 3 to 4 hour guided tour.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if they haven't been there before and if they don't have their own equipment and things like that. So, but if pretty much at the end of like the 3 to 4 hours, they get free time. And if they don't have equipment, we give them some equipment to run around the hotel with. It's a bit different for teams, like actual paranormal teams. If they come, then I don't have to take them anywhere. I'm pretty much there to, keep the coffee flowing and the snacks all night long. So
Now, do teams get to come in and investigate all night long, or is it just the
yep.
same 4 hours?
Nope, they get to come in and investigate all night long.
Sweet.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now we're like, are you the only caretaker there, or are there other caretakers as well?
We do have 2 other employees, Tracy and Chuck, and then the owner, Kelly, who actually lives there right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was different for her.
Now, what kind of like, how many spirits do you suspect that are in the Shanley?
Oh gosh, there's over 50 now.
You
They're
mean
all over
now?
the place. Yes.
So people are bringing spirits with them and leaving them?
Well, we have 4 portals, and so with that amount of portals, we get things and spirits coming through all the time. Sometimes they'll stay for a couple of weeks or a couple of months and then they go, but the usual ones that we have, I think when I started, we had about 36 or 37, and it just seemed to have grown with the ones that used to be there that weren't there when I first started, and now they're back apparently. So our numbers have definitely gone up.
Okay, so you talk about okay. So I'm not a big, huge believer of portals.
Okay.
I do feel like sometimes they're, they exist, and other times I'm like, yeah, no. Why do you think there's 4 portals in the Shanley?
I can feel them, and when you kind of run into them, they feel kind of like that staticky from the outside of a balloon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very different. The portals that we have tend to feel very heavy, and they just kind of make it a little uneasy sometimes whenever things are coming through. So I have total skeptics that come in and like, yeah, I don't really like this area, and they'll walk right out.
So what is it? I mean, do you picture them a certain way, like portals?
Or no, not really, actually.
You just feel them more often? Like,
I do. Yeah, I just feel them.
So, okay, because I just try to understand, like, to me, I think of them as a doorway,
Yes,
like it's
exactly.
swinging open, but how do you think they got there? Like,
I'm not really sure, honestly. The one in the basement, actually, there's a man named Charlie down there. He claims to have made that one. I don't know if that's true or not. I just let it go. But they've definitely been there way before I have. So,
all 4 of them have been there before you?
Yeah. I'm not really sure how they begin, or if there's an end to them or what.
Right. I mean, because I mean, it does make me wonder, because I mean, I always think spirits are all over the place. They're everywhere we go. They're not just stuck in one spot. And I honestly believe spirits can walk through walls, doors, whatever you want. They're a spirit. They can go wherever. To me to believe in portals, it's like, okay, what exactly is a portal? Is it coming from a different dimension? Is it coming from a parallel universe? Like, what? Like, why is there a portal? What does it mean to people?
I guess we really don't know for sure. Just like you said, I tend to explain it to guests as it is a doorway for the dead. Sometimes I kind of think it's like part of the hotel is like this beacon of light, because like as a medium, we have like a beacon of light that kind of shines up, and it lets the other spirits know, hey, this person can hear me or talk to me or whatever. I feel like the Shanley Hotel in particular is probably that same kind of a beacon of light, and that's why they come there.
Okay. Because I know at my other house that my children grew up in, a paranormal team came out and said, "Oh, your daughter's well has a portal on," and I was like, "The hell is that?" But I mean, and I could say I experienced something that came through the wall, and it went right between me and my son. Red beam light came from that wall, and my son noticed it. I noticed it. So I definitely know something came through that wall, But to say it was a portal, and I was like, okay, so you're just gonna leave it there? Like, I mean, this is our home. And at the time, like everybody knows, I've had experiences since I was a kid, but things are new to me as well as I like learn more as I'm in this field. And portals were one of the new things that I've learned. So it's just like, okay, oh, somebody else is trying to come on. But yeah, is Chuck one of your people?
Oh yeah, he's the other employee that we have.
Okay, well, I'll pop him on.
Okay.
Chuck, if you want to put your camera on, you can, so we can interview you too.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I wasn't expecting to be on camera. I might need a minute.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's just kind of like cryptids. There's a little bit of, I guess I'm a skeptic when it comes to those, because I just want to say spirits are going to be everywhere. And like you said, they're going to communicate to those of us that are, hi, Daniel. So, I think spirits are going to communicate to whoever they want to communicate to,
Yes.
But Linda said, I'm wondering if channeling is related to portals. That's a good question.
I think it depends on the type of channeling you're doing. The reason I say that is because, like, when you're using different divination tools like Ouija boards or pendulums, it's a form of communication. Now, I know from previous experience, you can open up a portal using a Ouija board. I'm not sure if it's the same with pendulums and dowsing rods and things, or even could it be the same when you're using even a spirit box? You know what I mean?
Right.
So those are some of the things that we just don't have answers for right now. This whole field is, all about learning and trying to figure out things.
Absolutely. Right. Now, do you have any spirit boxes?
Actually, yes, I have one that a dear friend Jeff Bent made for me, and love it to pieces. So, and then we have some others that people hack radios and things like that. So,
right.
John Huntington made a hacked radio that I put to, so I use that sometimes.
Yeah, I know Jeff well. One day I will have one of his boxes.
Yes.
Hi, Lucy.
So
hi,
wonderful.
Jeremy. Yeah, Ace has a couple of them, so we use his one because he's on my team, so we use his.
Yeah.
All right, Chuck, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, surprisingly.
So tell me about your experiences at the Shanley. She says you also work there, so
yes.
What goes on, and how did you get into the paranormal, and how did you get to work there?
So I've been a psychic medium since I was a kid. I've always seen spirits. I've always been able to predict the future, entitle myself and all these other things. And I didn't actually want to go to the Shanley. My friend actually was like trying to talk me into going with the paranormal group, and she's like, yeah, they want another psychic to come. Do you want to go? I said, oh, let me think about it. I was going to tell her like flat out, like, no, I got too much to do and paranormal's not really my thing. Well, then I have this dream that my great grandma tells me to go to this place no matter what. Walks me through this long pink hallway, and there's fives all over the wall. And in this dream, she opens this door and somebody like goes in front of the window and waves. So when we actually got there, well, of course I texted her too, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going. So when we actually got there, I was like, okay, haunted hotel. What on earth is this place? This is nothing. And then we pull up to it, and I'm like, dude, I can already feel people watching me. This is weird. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's people watching me. So we went in, and that's when I had first met Stephanie. Somebody's like whispering in my ear already. And they were like, okay, you guys can pick rooms. And I'm going around every room. I don't feel right in any single room. Every room's giving me a headache or I'm seeing a bad memory. I'm like, I can't sleep anywhere. Well, Stephanie was like, well, there's one room that you can probably sleep in, but she's a very particular, picky woman, and I don't know if she's going to accept you. Sure enough, we walked down this pink hallway to room 5, and that's the room I stayed in. So I stayed there all night. We put on a spirit box, and we decided to play this game. And they're like, what do you think about this person? What do you think about this? And they were saying like bitch and asshole and calling everybody all kinds of names. Well, they point to me and I'm like, all right, what are they going to say about me? And they actually said, welcome home through the box.
Oh,
So that was like, I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what are they saying that to me for. And then later that night, we stayed up all night. We investigated. We had a great time. That was my first paranormal experience. And I was like, wow, this is not that bad at all. I like it. And my father passed away when I was 16. And I never once saw him or heard him or anything like that. And I never understood why. My first night at the Shanley, I saw him as if he was a real person, just like you and I.
mhm.
So my whole first night there changed my entire life forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
And now I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I know. The more we do it, the more it's like, oh. And then you take those breaks in the winter time because everything's well, around here, everything is cold. You guys are in New York. You know cold.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Michigan,
Oh, okay.
cold.
Do you know cold too?
I know cold. Actually, it's funny. I had a T-shirt on before this, and I was like, I'll just stay in my T-shirt. And I was like, oh, it's too cold because I forgot it was like 70 the other day, and I turned on the heat and forgot to turn it back up. So now I'm cold. Hi, Travis. Travis says, I bet being there was a great experience. I'd like to come there.
Yeah.
I mean, what part of New York is the Shanley Hotel in?
It's in a little tiny town called Napanock.
It's by the Catskills.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a part of another town called Ellenville, which is just as small. So things close early even on the weekends. The one thing we have a Walmart and a couple of restaurants,
which we run to frequently.
Is that Upper New York? The Catskills?
It is upstate, yeah.
Okay, that's what I
Technically,
thought.
it's up. Everything north of New York City, I feel like, is upstate.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's like I'm like Southern Michigan, so when we say up north, 2 hours away is up north to us. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey, Travis is a fellow Michigander. Yes, I don't. What part of the state are you from, Travis? But yeah, I'm like right over here. See, that's a fun part of our hands. We can use it as our state. So I might be backwards. I'm right here on the thumb. But yeah, so anything above this is up north to me. So, Detroit, yes, you're close. About 45 minutes from Detroit. So yeah, it's fun. But so as a caretaker, what do you like about being a caretaker now? Since you Chuck.
What I like about it, honestly, is it's not just about, being with the spirits all the time. It's more so about, getting people, skeptics, non-believers, getting them involved, helping them change their life, because even when they first come in, I start picking up spirits that they're bringing in with them.
Yeah.
And that'll even start, bringing in some questions to them. I'll be honest though, my favorite part about working there is I get to see Stephanie and Tracy and Kelly all the time.
Yes.
It's literally like having a second family to me. Because of like the whole psychic thing, a lot of my family tries to stay away from me because they're afraid of like some of their secrets coming out. So it's nice to go somewhere, and I feel like I can just be absolutely anybody in the world. And I always know I have at least, a solid 4 people that are always by me. Not to mention I have at least 100 army of dead people that, will go to the other side for you all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like my family, I never told anybody that I had any abilities. I kind of had it shut. I had shut mine off for a long time too. My dad had a lot of premonition dreams. He would tell us about it. So, and my mom would always say, "Are you a psychic?" We joke about him, but he's kind of a little crazy. So I didn't want to be like him a little bit, even though. But anyways.
Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, like because you and I are very close in age, in our 40s. 20 years ago, this was not something that was okay to even talk about, because you were totally off your rocker and going to the funny farm if you did.
Right, so, absolutely.
I remember as a kid, seeing spirits. My mom and I lived in a very, very haunted house, and I remember her going to a psychiatrist and having to get an actual certificate stating that she was not crazy because of all the things that were going on in our house constantly. And
Right.
everybody thought she was nuts. So
Right.
it was very hush hush back in the day.
Right. And like back in the day too, it's like, I mean, I really do think people didn't know how to like we weren't be able to express it. So I think the spirits did where people did end up getting depression and stuff from it. So
Yeah.
now it's a little different because hey, there's a whole world of us out here now, and we can believe each other, when we say, hey, but I didn't tell my family, and my siblings are like, yeah, right. When I tell them like stuff, but my twin sister, she believes me. The rest of my siblings, they don't believe me, but that's okay because I don't have to prove anything to them. So
exactly, yeah.
I just I've done it to other people. At like I told you, we were the caretaker of the Detroit Six, and I've caught people off guard. I'm like, who's this? And they're like, yeah,
yeah.
So, that's
chances
fun,
are these people that are denying anything, chances are they probably have had their own experiences, either that they are still trying to debunk, or they're trying to find a way to actually tell somebody that so that they're not going to get ridiculed about it. A lot of times people are just afraid to come up and say, hey, yeah, I've had a paranormal experience.
So have either of you guys ever had a malevolent spirit scare you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We have a few things in the hotel. We have one thing that's called the creeper. I haven't really figured him out yet. He kind of reminds me of Cousin It, but with shorter hair and like these claws and these big old teeth and these glowing green eyes.
I named him the Jackal.
We have a serial killer. We also have something in there that calls himself a priest or a bishop, but he is neither. I don't think he's actually human, and I've seen him during the daytime, and he gives you this really sick, god awful feeling. So he's not fun.
Yeah, creepers to me like crawl very low. They crawl on the ceiling, they crawl on the wall, but they stay against the surface to me. They don't come out.
Yeah,
and that's how I always see creepers.
Well, we have one of those too, but I think they're called. I think we call them a rake. So,
okay.
Yeah. Plus, we have a witch too.
Oh,
yeah.
That's me. I have a black cat now, so I'm a witch. Well, I tell everybody that. I'm like, I'm officially a witch. I have a black cat that adopted me. I hated cat until she came along. I hated cat. Now I have a black cat that she's outside. But yeah, when I was in my 20s, I had my witch's mole removed off my nose, so I'm a witch.
Yeah. I say I dabble a little bit, in my oils and herbs and stuff, but I stick to the white and the green light stuff. So
yeah. Have you seen? Like it says, I seen spirits. I have spirits coming to usually in dreams. Yeah, Travis. A lot of times we do dream. Spirits will visit you in your dreams because your conscious is like at a slow pace.
Yeah, you're a lot more open to things when you're sleeping.
Yep. Who is your favorite spirit in the Shanley?
There's a lot to name.
Mine is definitely Joe. Joe is a mafia hitman, and I always say that he's my ghost boyfriend. We tell each other we love each other. He was my Valentine's date. He's actually become my protector around the hotel as well. He definitely protects me from the serial killer and such. So yeah, he comes to bed with me sometimes. So watches me in the shower. He's always with me.
Okay, that's interesting because I think in May I'm gonna have a show. It's gonna be I think a few females, and we're gonna talk about and I always say it wrong because I can't say it properly, is what are those spirits that like sleep with you? The evil. Yeah, that's the one. I can never say that right. I get tongue tied when I say that.
Yeah, there's succubus and incubus.
Yeah, those. We're going to talk about those on my show.
Awesome. Well, he's not one. I started off flirting with him one night, and that's just kind of how it all began.
I still think that they were lovers in a past life.
Probably. Is that, that'd be interesting. No, because I saw a story about this lady who married a pirate ghost.
Yeah.
And then
I
saw another story where I don't know, I think it was a dude that was getting a divorce from his spirit.
Did you see the guy
wife.
who married the Barbie doll because his wife's spirit was attached to the doll?
Yeah, that's and that's what made me think. I'm like, what the heck are these people up? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, well, the pirate lady, they got a divorce because apparently he was too controlling. So, yeah.
I just don't know with people anymore. It's like who actually performs the ceremony? Who in their right mind performs the ceremony?
I would totally do it.
There's another one that I saw not too long ago where the lady was trying to pick out the venue. She couldn't get any actual priests to come and marry her and her spirit fiance, and she picked the whole venue, and she's got to save up money for his suit. He wants a very particular kind of suit for the wedding and things like that. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. Just, like this is going to be an expensive wedding.
I want to know how he's going to wear the suit.
I don't
know. Okay. See, this is what I love. It's silly stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Chuck, why would you marry somebody who's marrying a spirit?
Why not? Why not?
Just to say he did it.
I guess so. That's funny.
Bucket list.
Right? Linda says, I've read books by clinical psychologists who explain that the symptoms related to depression and schizophrenia are found in people who have psychic gifts. This is important to remember that the level of their symptoms are so low and definitely not in the range that needs institutionalized. I believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I will say I have really bad depression. I'm not afraid to say that and admit that, I've been on medications for a long time. I do believe anytime that I've either forgotten to take my medications or they're just not working, at the time, and I get super, super low, I'm a bit more open to negativity and the negative things that come around. But when I'm, properly taking my meds and things like that and on a correct dosage, I honestly feel like, I guess that I can communicate with the spirits better, just because I'm a bit clear-headed, I guess.
Right. Yeah, depression runs in my family too, and obviously gifted people do too, because I'm gifted. 2 of my children are gifted, even though my daughter denies it. But I didn't want to be like him, so I shut mine down for a long time until I had my kids. Yeah. And then they started seeing stuff, and I was like, well.
Yeah, my oldest did the same thing too, and now that she has 2 kids, she went ahead and has opened herself back up. My middle child used to see auras and energies around, and she shut it completely off. Wants nothing to do with any of it. So
yeah. I see auras pretty good. I can read people's auras, and it's funny. Something I've learned while doing it is like that's almost like their favorite color too. Like I'm like, oh, your aura is orange, and they're like, oh, that's my favorite color, and I'm like, I know my mood rings always turn blue. Like if I put a moon ring or have a mood ring or something on that's like changing colors, it's always blue. And I'm like, that's my aura color.
Yeah.
Blue. It's my favorite color too. Let's see. I do have brooms. I use it to clean my kitchen. Not one that flies though. That would be funny. Actually, I do have a witch's broom. And I have 2 witches costumes that I just bought this past Halloween because I'm forever going to be a witch now.
There you go.
Forever.
I change my costumes up every single year. Every year's a different theme.
Well, if I, what do you go as, Chuck?
I don't ever dress up for Halloween. I tell everybody it's against my religion to celebrate holidays.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really I'm not a big holiday person. So this past Halloween, I actually had to do an open gallery read at this place in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
And Stephanie kept begging me to like dress up and do costumes and everything. And I was just not having it. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, I'll dress as a costume. And they were like, what are you doing? And I showed up as myself. And I'm like, homicidal maniac. They look like everybody. You can never tell.
Alrighty. Linda, my favorite color is blue. All shades of blue, but yeah, the pretty much the blue at the bottom of the screen is my favorite color. No, I like Halloween. I like dressing up. There's 2 holidays in particular that you can dress up, and I won't say the reason why, but St. Patty's Day and Halloween.
Mhm.
And it's funny because it's actually funny because I'll just say it. Those are the two holidays that a girl can dress up like a slut and nobody judges her.
Right.
And it's funny because I was telling my boss I was about to say, yeah, I like Halloween and St. Patrick's. And she said exactly what I said. I was like, huh. I was like, I would have never expected that to come out of your mouth, but okay. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I think we
Interesting.
should just get rid of Valentine's Day and make another Halloween.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Halloween just should go all year long.
Oh yeah, I've got stuff out.
I mean-
Well, for us, luckily for us, Halloween does go on all year long.
Yeah,
so-
it sure does.
Right. You know,
But
it's just like the people that don't take down their Christmas decorations.
Yes.
Um,
we have one Halloween decoration that sits in the foyer of the hotel when
Yes.
you walk in. We named him Alfred, and he's like the butler greeter. He's just a little like
skeletal
old zombie looking statue that's got a little plate out, and it just says like people are dying to get in here. Like
Yes.
Right. Yeah, no, I have actually Darren. I see Darren Smith said hello. Hi, Darren. I actually have one of his pumpkins. I don't know if you ever seen his pumpkins, but they're absolutely amazing. I would go get it. I should go get it, but that would consist of me leaving my seat. But I have one of his pumpkins that I won at the MadCon in Madison Seminary in Ohio.
Mhm.
And that stays up all year. And then I have a little skeleton, and I name him Jack, and then his little doggy. So they stay up all year long.
That's so. I have a skeleton with a dog too. That's up all year round too.
Yep, they're under my table, and they're like, "Why are you going to put him away?" I said, "Because it's Halloween every year, all year long."
Yep.
I could care. I like Christmas, but I don't like it that much. So okay, hold on. Let me text one of my kids. Hold on, I'll get them to bring me my pumpkin. That way I don't have to leave the screen. No, it's pretty cool. Darren, if you haven't seen his pumpkin, go follow his page because he has another amazing one that he just finished, and I want to buy it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to raffle it off or whatnot. And if he raffles it off, I'm going to win it. Just letting all the universe know that I will win it.
You're manifesting it now.
I am. Well, it's funny because all these all these paracons that we go to, whenever I put tickets in, I do this. I do a little thing, and I tend to win the object. So,
well, now you need to share those secrets. Oh, he's cute.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't he cute?
Yeah.
He's got a
won
big
him.
mouth.
I won him. Okay, you can put him back. Be careful with him, please. Hold 2 hands.
No.
Don't throw. Darren Smith, he's throwing your pumpkin around. Stop. Darren's gonna come here and beat you up. Anywho, yeah, he is. I think he starts him off as paper mache and stuff like that. So he's very talented.
That's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. Great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. But yeah, no, I plan on having a lot more of his pumpkins.
Yeah.
So they're pretty cool. Now, other than that, do you guys get to go investigate other places? Or are you just
For me it's kind of hard because I do have the little one. So every so often I will head up to Hinsdale House. It's like my second home up there. I absolutely adore that house. I know a lot of people don't feel that same way, but I do.
we're actually going back there next month at the end of the month with Eddie Pence
Oh
and
yeah,
a few
yeah.
other people. Hinsdale made me mean.
It's that place
It
is
was
amazing.
the only place. Sorry, Daniel class. It is the only place I've been to that has made me a mean person. So I'm looking forward to going back to figure out who made me mean.
So you need to
I
have some protection on you.
That's the one thing I forgot to do when I walked in, because
Yeah.
Billy greeted us outside. She's like, "Oh, come on in," and we all just followed. And I was like, "Oh, I don't normally do that," and I just did it. And then she looked at me after a while. She goes, "I'm worried about you," and she never told me why. And I was like, "Okay, well,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about me. I'm fine." I wasn't fine.
I'm kind of wondering if it was Wilhelm.
No, she said it was what's his name? Oh goodness gracious, I forget. I'll have to think about it. It was one of the two brothers.
Oh, they're pretty nasty.
You are cutting
very
out,
nice.
Chuck. You sound very quiet right now.
Oh, I said I don't want to hear who because I'm trying to go there.
Oh, okay, go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
and I hear myself echo. So,
Oh, sorry. It might be my phone, but I'm trying to go to Hinsdale, and I don't want no information about it whatsoever.
that's how
I'm
I
trying
feel.
to like.
That's how I feel. I always tell people, I'm like, I don't want to know history when I don't go on the tours, because I make my team go, because I'm like, I'd rather know the history and stuff after. So give me the history tour before we leave. That's when I want
Yeah.
it. Give it to me before we leave, because I want to know that what I go into the building is what's coming, what the spirits are saying to me. I'm not always Auntie M's coming. I want to know, like, I'm not totally big on names. Like, I'll get sometimes I'll get them right, sometimes I'll get them wrong.
Yeah.
So names don't always come through to me correctly, but that's something I'm trying to work on. So I don't want to know names. I don't want to know people. And I carry a book around and write everything down just so I have it. Because, 8 hours investigating, I'm going to forget stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do the same thing at the hotel.
Totally.
I carry my little notebook with me so that I can write stuff down because I get images. Names are the hardest thing for me to get, honestly.
Yeah.
But like my first time at Hinsdale, I saw a full-bodied apparition my first night, and that
Where
was actually in the living room.
Okay.
There was a man that was asleep on the floor on the other side of the coffee table because I was on the couch. And I turned over at some point, and there's a woman standing over him, leaning like total L-shaped, 90 degrees over his head. And I just kind of went, huh, okay. And I rolled back over and went back to sleep. And when I told the lead the next morning, she goes, oh, that's who the kids used to say was called the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah.
And she started coming to me at the Shanley, and Dan had to have me back at some point because they wanted me back. So I've got this wonderful connection with this woman and then my last time there was almost a year ago. It was in May. I gained my 8th spirit guide up there too. So that place is very, very special.
I was trying to get her. I was trying to get her to show up because everyone's like, you could see her by the lake. I literally, because I was mad at everybody, and Ace can vouch for that. I was mad at my whole team, even my kids. When I called my kids, I literally laid on the dock that they just built there. I laid on that dock for about an hour trying to calm myself down because I knew I was being a mean person. I just didn't know how to turn it off. Like I couldn't turn it off. So I laid on there. I was like trying to get her to come through as I was laying on the dock. I'm like, where are you? Why aren't you showing up? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Now,
my meanness scared her away. I
I
don't
hate to cut
know.
this short, ladies, but I do have to run. But it was
Okay.
great meeting you. It was great
It was
talking to you guys.
meeting you too. Thank you for joining us. I
No,
appreciate it.
thank you for having me. I wasn't expecting it, but I figured I
my
could jump
fault.
on. It's
That's
all right.
okay.
Well,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much. I hope to
Bye.
meet you in person someday.
Oh, I think we will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.
But yeah, it was a different experience there, that's for sure. And I can't wait to go back. And yeah, have you been to Wildwood?
I did. I went there when I first moved to New York. I tried to get Hinsdale because a friend of mine flew here to New York to see me. So I was like, let's go on an investigation weekend.
Right.
And, you know, Dan's like, well, the Hinsdale's booked, but, you know, I can get you into Wildwood. And I was like, okay. Knew nothing about that place at all. And it was crazy. The whole atmosphere felt so negative and uninviting. I guess the people that had been there the night before I was there with my friend were drinking. They were disrespectful to the spirits. They were like peeing down the sink. And, you know, at that time, the sink was not connected to anything. So it was just coming down on the middle of the living room floor. Like, it was awful. And I got pushed up one of the back stairways, you know, heading up the stairs, like pushed into the staircase and dropped all my equipment and everything. That really freaked me out. And then we just decided that we were too scared to actually sleep upstairs. So we slept toe to toe on the couch by the front door so we could book it in case we needed to get out.
Yeah, my whole team went, how many of us were there? I think there was us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there was 6 or 7 of us that went on my team. And we literally all slept on the first floor in the there by the door. We had our mattresses. We all slept in one spot because we had some fun things that actually happened there. It was very interesting. I like Wildwood very much, and we are going back there again with it after Hinsdale, so it's going to be fun. But there is a favorite at Wildwood, and I don't know if anyone else has picked her up, but it was very strange because I was on the second floor with my teammate Nikki, and it was just us two. Everyone else was on the third floor, and we were by the pendulum.
Yeah.
And it was spinning a little bit, so that was interesting. But the spirit I was picking up, I felt her name was Lucy. And I felt she was kind of like a teenager, but acted like a 3-year-old. So she had some mental disabilities going on.
Yeah.
And I was writing stuff down in my book. And one of the other teammates came down. And we weren't talking. Me and Nikki, we were kind of done. We were waiting because we heard somebody coming down. So we kind of stopped, asking questions and stuff. And she walked past. She goes, "Who's Lucy?" And then continued to go back down. I was like, "Excuse me, come back here. Like, I have questions." And she just went right past and went downstairs with some of the other team. And I was like, "Dude," I had to go chase her. I'm like, "How did you know her name was Lucy?" Like, hear me say her name? And she's like, "No, I just felt like her name was Lucy." And I was like, "Okay, Lucy it is." Because 2 of us got the name Lucy. So I like it. So when I go to Wildwood, I hope she comes back out and I can connect with her again.
Yeah, I keep saying I need to get back out to Wildwood because me and that man in the stairway need to have a little talk about pushing people.
Well, yeah, and that's the other experience we had there was in the basement. We were in the tub room, and Ace had he went and put the cat balls up on the steps, and the rest of us were in there. We were quiet, and all of a sudden we hear this boom right against the wall, and Ace came around the corner asking if we were okay.
Yeah.
He kind of shuffled a little quickly, let's just say that.
Yep.
And the spirit that was coming down, the shadow spirit that was coming down, had literally kicked the ball. Like, it didn't roll down the steps. It literally flew across the wall, the middle of the steps, and hit the wall.
Yeah.
So hard that the cat ball went under the stairs, and we had to get a broom and kind of get it back. So but that was interesting. So that was our fun thing. And I actually did see a shadow. Probably my first time was there. I saw a shadow person. Well, no, I'm wrong because I first saw one in my old house. But on an actual investigation, I saw the shadow man walking from the second floor. There was those stairways in the back.
Yes.
Down the room. I thought one of my teammates was coming up the stairs and nobody was, and I was like, I just saw a shadow person. I was like, yay.
Yeah, my friend and I were laying on the couch and we kept hearing men talking like on the second floor above us, and footsteps and stuff like that. And we were both like, we're not getting up to go check it out this time. We're just gonna lay here
right.
and
Yeah, Travis Wildwood is a very active place. I think it's both positive and negative,
Yeah.
Just like I think anywhere though, you really think about any haunted location is going to have a negative spirit in it. It just, I don't know how you feel, but I believe that spirits, how they were here on earth when they were alive is how they are in the afterlife. So if you're a mean, nasty person in here in the world, you're going to be a mean, nasty spirit. So,
exactly, that's exactly it.
And I love when people are like, "There's so many demons," and I'm like, "Okay, people." As one that used to, I know, as one person that used to believe in demons all the time, I no longer do. I mean, I fight them off when I have to. I'm a warrior. But they're far few in between. So
yeah,
they're just negative people. That's all. They're just mean, nasty people with no body to live in. Where Wildwood is what, about an hour? No, 45 minutes from Hinsdale? Hour maybe?
Yeah,
it's not very far from Hinsdale at all.
No.
That's why they always say if you're going to Hinsdale, go to Wildwood in the same weekend, hit both places up, because I think it's Dan does the booking, so you can book it both places, and it's really it's a lot for a weekend, but it's fun too. So
you definitely end up with a paranormal hangover after that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I almost forgot to take the Monday off. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta put that in.
Yeah,
or I'll be calling. I'm not coming in today. But yeah, no. If you guys ever get a chance to go to Wildwood and Hinsdale, definitely go. That was on my bucket list, and so we hit that last year. And what would be on your bucket list to places? I know you said you don't get to go very many because you're a young one, but.
I definitely want to do like Massachusetts. I want to do Danvers. I want to do the touristy thing in Salem, but I also want to do the not so touristy things. And because I know one of my past lives was there. And so I'd like to find out more about that. I would love to do Vlad the Impaler's castle. That's always
I would love that too. Yeah. I want to.
Alcatraz.
Yep. Queen Mary.
Yes. The Winchester Mansion.
Basically, okay, so I love the term paranormal hangover because one, you use a lot of energy, especially if you're communicating with spirits. However, we are older folks now, and we normally go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock. So staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning when you've driven all day long to get to the place, and then you're up all night long.
Yep.
You're tired the next day. You're exhausted. So that's what a hangover is. You just sleep. That's all. Eat and sleep.
Yeah.
But it cracks me up.
For at least a couple days straight.
So yeah. Hi, Steve. So it's funny because it's just the paranormal hangover is basically like if you've been drinking all day, now you gotta sleep it off. So but it's just because we're getting old. Yeah, we're just old and can't stay up late. Wait, I'm not old. Well, who am I talking about?
I know you were saying that earlier that you're not old.
I'm not old. I'm not old. I'm not old.
It's just a number.
Anywho, seriously, age is nothing but a number.
Exactly.
Old is how you feel. And at 3 o'clock in the I'm tired. I'm ready for bed.
Yes.
I'm one of those people though that can like literally fall asleep within seconds. And I mean, I take a nap on my break, 15-minute break, and people are like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I'm just used to it. I just have to
Yeah.
put my head down and go out. I can
Yeah.
fall asleep on a train
You're
if you
lucky.
let
I
me."
can't do that.
Well, a lot of people can't, but I've been doing it every day in my life, so
Mm-hmm.
my body's just used to it. And then
Yeah.
if I don't nap, watch out, world. Watch out. Like today, well, I was actually going to tell you that earlier. I'm like, I've been taking these vitamins called Zip Fizz,
Mm-hmm.
and they give me so much energy because it's full of B12.
Yeah.
So I just go and go until I'm like completely exhausted, and I think I've hit that wall right now.
Yeah.
Probably why I'm talking a lot. Instead of letting you talk, I'd be like, no. Sorry.
That's all right.
All right. So we got 10 minutes, but we really haven't talked about your dolls very much. And you said you have a lot of those. How did you get into collecting haunted dolls?
There's one of them, my first one, his name is Wilmot. And there was a lady in Rome that was actually selling him and a couple of haunted pictures. And she's a wonderful medium. And I trusted her completely. So I bought them. I bought them all. It was 3 different pictures plus my little guy. He's really little. And communicating with him further, he says that he's actually from Danvers and that we may have been cousins or somehow knew each other in a previous life. And so that's part of my fascination with, Massachusetts in general. But like I said, they just kind of call to me. But sometimes people, hey, I don't want this in my house anymore. Can you take these off my hands? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll check it out, Or people are like, well, I've got activity. Can you take it and see what's going on? I'm like, yeah, I tend to take it to the hotel first and make sure it's not, something negative, because I've got a dog and I've got my little one here. So I don't want anything negative in my house. So let's take it to the hotel and play with it there. But
now, why do you think objects can be haunted?
I kind of wonder sometimes if it's like a violent murder. I kind of think that, maybe this is a safe place for them to hide inside of a doll. Other things, I think sometimes a certain object will just remind them of a life, or, maybe a certain doll even looks like one of their toys that they might have had in their lifetime, or maybe it looks like, them sometimes. We have one in the hotel. His name is Harold, and he's actually a nun doll. And he says he picked that doll because he remembers being in a Catholic school, and, the nuns were always very, very strict and kind of mean. So he thought it was like a little slap in the face to be, haunting a nun doll. So there's all kinds of different reasons why someone can pick some of the certain things that they do.
Now, so do they ever come out of the doll and walk, like, let's say walk around, or do they just stay with the object?
No, they do. My little pixie girl is 11, and I was actually in my daughter's room one night trying to get her to sleep, and she was, "Mama, there's a monster." And I looked, and I see this childlike shadow coming in her door. I said, "No, baby, it's not a monster." I said, "It's just Pixie. Just all you need to do is tell her to please not come into your room." And she says, "Don't come in Isabel's room." And Pixie just backed right out. And so now I do put that boundary down with the spirits that I have in here, that you're welcome to stay, but, please stay out of my children's room. Don't scare the dog, that sort of thing. And they actually do listen, which is great. So
now, do you think, okay, because I've known that to do that and stuff. Why do you think they listen so well when we say don't do something, and then there's other ones that are like don't listen whatsoever?
I think that's
like,
part of their personality. If I was to tell the serial killer at the hotel, you're not allowed in this room, he's not going to listen to me for one at all.
Right. Because I always wondered that, like I've done a few like house cleansings, not very many, because I'm new to that, so I don't want to do anything that I'm not totally totally experienced in doing.
Yeah.
And I think both times I've done it, I've taken somebody that was experienced in doing it,
Yeah.
just so I can learn from them. But I was wondering, like, okay, we can tell them to leave, and they're supposed to leave. Because I've heard this my whole life. I've heard those superstitions with the salt, hanging the iron horseshoe, putting iron, rail stakes around the property and
Yeah.
stuff. And why do you think some of those items are make spirits disappear, pretty much?
I think it's actually
keep
whether
them
or
at
not.
bay.
Yeah, I think it's actually whether or not you believe in it.
Okay.
I've gotten a friend that had, what I would call a demonic attachment one time, and he says, well, I carry my St. Michael and my St. Christopher medallion. I said, yeah, but if you don't have the belief backing, to kind of back it up, they don't care. You can carry around a bucket of holy water and start spraying it on everything you want. But if you don't believe in it, that this is what it's doing, they really don't have, they don't care two beans about it. They're like, yeah, whatever,
Right.
So I think a lot of it
Gotcha.
has to do with your intention and how much you believe in what you're doing.
I can see that. I definitely can see that.
Mhm.
All right. We have about 4 minutes left. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to bring up, mention?
I don't know offhand.
If
anybody's looking for haunted dolls, you can always contact me. I've got an Etsy shop with my haunted dolls on there. The ones I'm trying to get rid of.
Gotcha. And I was going to say, is it because you have too many, or is it just they're too haunted and you don't want them anymore?
No, just way too many.
That's funny. We have a doll, and it's funny because you guys have probably seen him, Baby Benny. I know many people have.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to create a Facebook page for him very shortly.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I just got to have time to I think I have a name for it for his page. But everybody loves Benny.
Yep.
And so why not make him his own page?
Yeah.
But when I came across him at the Halloween store, he I like you said, I felt like he called to me because there was other dolls, like there was the Bride of Frankenstein, and then there's Wolf Boy. They have their names, but that's what they look like to me. And then there was Benny, and I was like, "Ooh, you're a little creepy." Like, I mean, literally passed him and then had to come back, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
So I messaged the person and I said, "You want this doll?" So yeah, so he went to his forever home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah. So that's how his life started, because when I gave him to Ace, because Ace has a horror van, and that's what his intentions were for that. It was at Eloise, so I was like, he didn't put him down because he just was a little costly, and I said, don't put him anywhere because I don't want anybody taking him. So he came around and everyone's like, oh my god, that's so cool. And so yeah, that's how he got his life started.
Yeah, we had
Eloise.
Last Saturday we had Mary Jo Chudley and Scotty the New Jersey Medium and a bunch of other guests at the hotel for an event, and Mary Jo brought her haunted doll Gretchen, and we locked her doll and mine, Eden, both in the gift shop together overnight. And when we came in the next morning, it looked like Gretchen's head had actually been turned, and Eden, like one of her curls on her hair was like up and over, because I had her next to a TV, so it was like up and over the TV, and I'm like, we should have put some cameras in here last night to see what was going on.
Well, and that's a funny thing too, is because I don't feel anything attached to him. But when we take pictures of him, his facial expressions change. I don't care what anyone says. His facial expressions look like we were at the Monroe house and we took a picture and he looked like he was smiling in it. And I was like, what the heck? So I don't, he's definitely not haunted and doesn't have an attachment or anything, but he doesn't, I say he has a personality. That's all. So yes, Janet, you were there that night. It was fun. Would any of your haunted dolls do readings?
Readings? I mean,
That's what
I have Eden with me whenever I'm reading some of the other dolls to figure out who they are, or, what they are.
Cool. All right. So next week, because we have 1 minute and I got to tell you who my guest is next week.
Mhm.
Next week, I have Donald Martin from the Old Southern Funeral Home as our guest. And so I hope you guys all join us. Next up is the Cryptic Show. So please stay tuned for that. I
Mhm.
appreciate you being on the show, Stephanie. It was a lot of fun. And
Thank
thank you,
you so
everybody, for
much. Yes.
joining us tonight. And I will see you. Oh, and everybody have a good Easter. Almost forgot
Yes,
that
happy
holiday's
Easter.
coming up. So you guys all have a good Easter, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.